My surprise Scholastic book delivery, and a little origin story for this channel. Yesterday, I arrived home to find a very large package on my doorstep. It's not a weird thing, right? We all order things and used to having things come to the house, but I hadn't ordered anything. I wasn't expecting anything to come to the house. I assumed it was for my husband. But when I went to the package and I picked it up, my name was on it. Also, it was pretty heavy. I was assuming that there were books inside, but the thing was I hadn't ordered any books. As an author, as a teacher, books come to my house a lot, especially when I'm putting out a new one like I am in a couple weeks. But again, you guys, I hadn't ordered any books. So what was this box with probably books inside it and my name on the front doing at my house? I'm going to tell you what that was. But before I do, I'm going to back up a little bit so that when I tell you what was in the box, you'll understand why I was so excited about it. So a few years ago, I was teaching some foundations of education courses at our local university. Specifically, I was helping students prepare literacy center lessons. And when I got these lesson plans, the books that my students were choosing to use were like a million years old. They were like Taps for Sale and Green Eggs and Ham. And I was like, you guys, why? Why? Tell me why you're using these books, because we are living in a golden age of kidlit. There are so many amazing books that were written within the last decade, within the last 2 years that you could be choosing. Why are you using these very old books? Explain to me. And I usually got 3 reasons. One, I am tired and I have so much to do. And this was the first thing that I saw on Pinterest, so I picked it. Something along those lines. Answer number 2 was, yeah, I want to be a science teacher or a math teacher or something. I don't even really like reading. And so I just picked the first thing I could find. We're all teachers of reading. We know that. But I understand it's not everybody's favorite. And some of my students fell into that camp. The other thing that they told me was, well, this is what was available at my school. This is what we had 20 copies of in the classroom or in the school book room or in the library. I understand all of these things. But I also knew that there were better books that my students could be using, because what they share with their students, those students are going to glom onto, and then they'll just repeat it. Oftentimes, my students were planning lessons or repeating lessons that they'd been taught themselves. So I wanted to give them the best of the best so that they could then pass on the best of the best to their students. And so I did. I started every class period by reading out loud to them, and I ended every class day with reading out loud to my college students. But then I thought, like, right now I am influencing 25 students and potentially 25 classrooms, but I bet there are a lot more tired or uninformed teachers out there. So I started this YouTube channel so that I could share the most amazing books with all of those teachers and with all of those students. And through that, I'm able to impact hundreds, if not thousands, of classrooms, sharing amazing books, sharing amazing authors, getting readers excited about reading. So there's all that. So for the last couple of years, I have been making a weekly First Chapter Friday video. I have been shouting out recommendations to teachers so that they can pass them along to their students. Okay, so little old me in Wisconsin doing this thing all on my own in my basement, having a great time, but like, wondering, like, am I doing the thing I set out to do? Am I helping teachers and readers? And then I get home yesterday, and this package is on my front step. And when I open it up, you guys, do you know what I find? I find the entire Scholastic spring lineup. Inside this box are all of the books that they are going to be publishing this spring. And they sent me advanced reader copies of almost every single one. Picture books, graphic novels, novels in verse, everything. And I am just so grateful and so thankful and feel so validated that somebody sees value in what I am doing. And so Scholastic, thank you. I will absolutely share all of these books in this video and also later on my channel. A couple that I want to call out for sure. In just a couple of weeks, you'll be able to find Change the Game by Colin Kaepernick, part of my March series of books that have game in the title. I definitely know that I'm going to be sharing, I have to find it again, Good Different in April. It's a novel in verse. And I absolutely know I'm going to be sharing Parachute Kids, and there's one other graphic novel in July when we do it's Graphic Novel Appreciation Month in July. So stay tuned. I'm going to walk you through all of the books that were in the box so that you can get your hands on them and put them in your classroom library. Thank you, Scholastic. Thank you, teachers, for all that you do and for the ways in which you encourage your readers. And I'm so grateful that I can be a part of that. Happy reading, and I'll see you all here again next time for more First Chapter Friday videos, brain breaks, teaching tips, and overall word nerd goodness. All right, let's take a closer look at the books that were in the box. First up, picture books. Lovely Day by Bill Withers, illustrated by Olivia Duchess. Bill Withers' song Lovely Day is famous for bringing listeners joy. This beautiful picture book, adapted from the song's timeless lyrics, follows the story of a brother and sister who always find a way to make each other smile, no matter the challenges the day may bring. From discovering new ways to play when the playground is closed, to laughing out loud as they run through the rain, these siblings can count on each other to find the joy in any situation. Because when you're with the ones you love, every day is a lovely day. Great for ages 4 through 8 and now available. You Are Loved, written by Margaret O'Hare and illustrated by Sofia Cardoso. Families come in many different shapes and forms, but they all teach you how to be strong and show you how loved you are. Alongside a sweet and simple narrative, the warm illustrations tell their own story. Beginning with Sofia Sanchez's adopted family, readers will meet with 2 moms and 2 dads, families with single parents and kids raised by grandparents, guardians, or older siblings. Big families, small families, extended families, blended families, and mixed-race families, including parents with their own differences that make them unique too. This heartwarming companion book to 2021's You Are Enough highlights the important message that families aren't just the people you live with. They include the people in your school, your community, and the people you choose who love and empower you just the way you are. Great for ages 4 through 8 and now available. We Are Here, written by Tammy Charles and illustrated by Caldecott honor-winning Brian Collier. Lyrical, affirmational, and bursting with love, We Are Here is a poignant story about Black and Brown heritage and community. Full of assurance, tenderness, and triumph, this much-anticipated follow-up to the New York Times best-selling picture book, All Because You Matter, offers an equally inspirational and arresting ode to all of the Black women and men throughout history who have made momentous contributions from the beginning of time. Tammy Charles shares the beauty and excellence in the history of the Black community, assuring Black and Brown children of the extraordinary legacy from which they come. Charles's powerful and empowering text is accompanied with illustrations by renowned artist Brian Collier, a 4-time Caldecott honor recipient and a 9-time Coretta Scott King Award winner honoree. We Are Here celebrates readers with pride, joy, and love, reminding them of their roots, inviting readers to imagine a future that shines ever bright, and strengthening them for their triumphant days to come. Great for ages 4 through 8 and now available. All Aboard the Schooltrain, written by Glenda Armand and illustrated by Keisha Morris. Thelma loves to watch the Sunset Limited chug through her little town of Vacherie, Louisiana, and she dreams of one day riding a real train. For now, she has her beloved school train. Every morning, she and her friends walk to school single file, chanting all the way. School train, don't be late. The school bell rings at 8:30. Then it's on to great adventures with her teacher's books and her own imagination. But lately, someone named Jim Crow has been making trouble for folks in Vacherie. Aunt Bee and Uncle Ed have already moved away. When Thelma's best friend also has to leave, Thelma wonders who is Jim Crow and why does he have to be so mean? Will he make trouble for Pop too? This book is great for ages 4 through 8 and also now available. Stillwater and Koo Save the World, written and illustrated by John J. Muth. During the course of the day, Koo straightens his room, feeds his cat and the hungry fish outside, and he bakes a cake to welcome new neighbors. He even helps a family of ducklings to safely cross the street. But still, Koo wonders, how will he ever save the world? At the end of the day, Uncle Stillwater has the answer. In a story brimming with love and life, John J. Muth shows how we can all heal the world a little bit at a time. Just the right message for now and always. Perfect for ages 4 through 8 and now available. Also a Junior Library Guild selection. Miss Irwin, written and illustrated by Alan Say. As a young woman, Miss Irwin was a kindergarten teacher who loved introducing the world of discovery to her students. As a grandmother, she often reflects on her wonderful days exploring with her students. When her grandson asks her about a mysterious box on the shelf, she gets lost in memory and her mind transports her back in time to when she was Miss Irwin. At first, her grandson is confused, but remembers his grandmother's forgetfulness and plays along as the student who made the bird's nest inside the white box. Alan Say's breathtaking artwork and emotionally powerful and thoughtful text gently weave a touching story about memory and family. Together, the grandmother and the grandson rejoice in the meaning of beauty of memory before all is lost. Miss Irwin helps readers of all ages better understand and interact with loved ones who are experiencing memory loss. This book is great for ages 4 through 8 and will be available on April 18th, 2023. When a friend needs a friend. Aya and Oscar love to go on big adventures, build amazing creations, and make up stories together. But when Oscar gets sad, his feelings grow so big he doesn't want to play, and that leaves Aya feeling hurt and confused. How can she help when she doesn't know what Oscar needs? With candor and compassion, this heartfelt story shows that big feelings are a normal part of life and something to be felt rather than fixed. This book models how to be an ally when someone you love is hurting. Perfect for ages 4 through 8 and now available. Jovita Wore Pants by Ida Salazar and Molly Mendoza. Jovita dreamed of wearing pants. She hated the big skirts Abuela made her wear. She wanted to scale the tallest mesquite tree on her ranchero, ride a horse, and feel the wind curl her face into a smile. When her father and brothers joined the Cristero War to fight for religious freedom, Jovita wanted to go too. Forbidden, she defied her father's rules and societies and found a clever way to become a trailblazing revolutionary wearing pants. This remarkable true story about a little-known maverick Mexican heroine is brought vividly to life by her great niece and America's Award winner Ada Salazar and Eisner Award honoree Molly Mendoza. This book is awesome for ages 6 through 9 and is now available from Scholastic. Holding Her Own, The Exceptional Life of Jackie Orms. Words by Tracy N. Todd and pictures by Shannon Wright. Jackie Orms made history. She was the first Black woman cartoonist to be nationally syndicated in the United States. She was also a journalist, fashionista, philanthropist, and activist, and she used her incredible talent and artistry to bring joy and hope to people everywhere. But in post-World War II America, Black people were still being denied their civil rights, and Jackie found herself in a dilemma. How could her art stay true to her signature Jackie Joy while remaining honest about the inequalities Black people had been fighting? Rising stars Tracy N. Todd, author of the Coretta Scott King honor book Nina, a story of Nina Simone, and Shannon Wright, co-creator of the best-selling graphic novel Twins, have created a gorgeous and heartfelt tribute to the incredible legacy of Jackie Orms, whose life and work still influences illustrators and cartoonists today. For ages 7 through 10 and available from Scholastic now. Next up, my favorite, middle grade titles. Love Puppies, Best Friends Forever by Janae Brown Wood. Yip yip hooray! A little magic can save the day. When Rosie and the rest of the Love Puppies find out that Miko is struggling to make friends at her new school, they are sure they can sniff out a solution. But it takes more than magic to break the ice. If they can be creative, these caring canines might just find a lonely girl her paw-effect match. With a little bit of magic and a whole lot of kindness, the Love Puppies are here to help kids overcome some tough social situations. Because with the power of love, anything is possible. This book is the first in a fantasy series for ages 7 through 10 and now available. Scared Silly, Curses Are the Worst by Elizabeth Eulberg. Warning, this book contains a very scary and silly story about a long-dormant witch's curse that's been unleashed on the unsuspecting town of Cauldron's Cove. It's revenge over 300 years in the making. Hey, better late than never. When Reagan, Sophia, Bennett, and Darius unfairly get put into detention, they know something is wrong. And they're right. This detention is far from ordinary. Their science teacher, Mrs. Stein, believes that by using these kids' DNA, she can create an army of perfect students who have Sophia's smarts, Reagan's heart, Bennett's likability, and Darius's loyalty. Soon the clones are wreaking havoc around town and getting the real kids in trouble. Will the kids be able to save the town, or will they be cursed for eternity? There's only one way to find out, and fair warning, dear reader, you should definitely read the story with the lights on. This book is the first in a comedy science fiction series for readers 8 to 12 and is now available. Exit 13, The Whispering Pines by James Preller with illustrations by Kevin Keel. The McGinns were supposed to be going on a perfectly normal family vacation. Sure, Ash's older sister Willow was a pain, their dog Daisy was a whiny scaredy cat, and their parents were being kind of lame. All of that was to be expected. Perfectly normal. But when the family decides to make an unplanned stop one night, it quickly becomes clear that this family vacation is about to get more than a little weird, because there is nothing normal about the Exit 13 motel. Rooms and hallways that don't go where they're supposed to, a receptionist that looks like he came straight out of a horror movie, and creepy woods that Ash swears have some kind of monster lurking in them, maybe even more than one. Something has been going on ever since the McGinns checked into this motel, and if Ash and Willow can't get to the bottom of it, they might never be able to check out. Explore the weird and creepy world of Exit 13 in this spine-chilling series. Whether you're a fan of mystery, or a lover of horror, or even a graphic novel super reader, Exit 13 is sure to grab you. This illustrated novel, the first in a new series, includes black and white comic pages throughout. Perfect for ages 8 to 12 and now available. Legends of Lotus Island, The Guardian Test by Christina Soontorn-Vant and illustrated by Kevin Hong. Young Plum is shocked to discover that she's been accepted to the Guardian Academy on Lotus Island, an elite school where kids learn how to transform into guardians, magical creatures who are sworn to protect the natural world. The Guardian Masters teach Plum and her friends how to communicate with animals and how to use meditation to strengthen their minds and bodies. All the kids also learn to fight so they can protect the defenseless, if needed. To her dismay, Plum struggles at school. While her classmates begin to transform into amazing creatures, Plum can't even seem to magic up a single feather. If she can't embrace her inner animal form soon, she'll have to leave school and lose the first real group of friends she's ever had. This book is the first in a series, it's fantasy and great for ages 8 through 12, and it's now available. Pack Your Bags, Maggie Diaz, written by Nina Moreno and illustrated by Courtney Levitt and Asia Simone. Spring semester is here and Maggie is killing it. Her grades are up, she's loving outdoor track and field, and being a 7th grader means the awesome spring break trip to St. Augustine is almost here. She can't wait for her first overnight trip away from her overprotective parents, lovesick sister, and busybody abuela. Nothing will get in the way of Maggie having the best time ever with her 2 best friends, Zoe and Julian. But all of Maggie's plans for their unforgettable trip start to fall apart as everyone gets carried away with the upcoming dance instead. Even Julian has a crush, throwing their group dynamic into turmoil when he asks a new girl to be his date. Zoe's so stressed with school that her straight A streak is in trouble, and why can't Maggie stop thinking about Eerie Eddie? The 3 best friends have been inseparable for years, but everything is changing as everyone splits into twos, leaving Maggie unsure of where and with who she still fits. This is a realistic fiction series. Just kidding, not a series. It's a standalone for ages 8 to 12 and is now available. Here's a new historical fiction from one of my faves, Jennifer A. Nielsen. It's called Iceberg and is now available. Hazel Rothbury is traveling all alone from her home in England aboard the celebrated ship Titanic. Following the untimely death of her father, Hazel's mother is sending her to the U.S. to work in a factory so she might send money back home to help her family make ends meet. But Hazel harbors a secret dream. She wants to be a journalist, and she just knows that if she can write and sell a story about the Titanic's maiden voyage, she could earn enough money to support her family and not have to go to a sweatshop. When Hazel discovers that Mother didn't send her with enough money for a ticket, she decides she must stow away on board the storied ship. With help from a porter named Charlie and a sweet first-class passenger named Sylvia, Hazel explores the opulent ship in secret, but a haunting mystery quickly finds her. The danger only intensifies when calamity strikes, and readers will be caught up in the terror and suspense alongside Hazel as she fights to save her friends and herself. Best-selling author Jennifer A. Nielsen weaves an extraordinary tapestry of survival and disaster in this magnificent thriller. To Catch a Thief by Martha Brockenborough. Urchin Beach isn't the sort of place where bad things happen. The little seaside town is too lucky for that. But then one day a thief steals something precious from the town's dragonfly staff, which is the source of all its good fortune and the most important part of the upcoming Dragonfly Day Festival. Amelia MacGuffin is no detective. She's 11, quiet, and unlike her 4 younger siblings, she has no special talents. But Amelia loves her town. Her family has lived there forever. Her parents run the Pacific General Store, and she and her best friends Bertie and Delphine are about to start middle school. If Amelia doesn't find the staff, the Dragonfly Day Festival will be canceled. The town needs that tourist money to survive. Unless she cracks the case, Amelia's family will lose everything, including the adorable stray dog they've fallen in love with. She only has 7 days to solve Urchin Bay's beach crime of the century. It's not a lot of time, but Amelia has her list of suspects. Might be the new kids next door, or the grumpy mystery writer who lives in the town's creepiest mansion, or perhaps even someone closer to home. Amelia wants to save the town. She wants to save the dog. She wants both so much. But first, she has to catch a thief. This mystery suspense novel is great for ages 8 through 12 and will be available on April 4th, 2023. The Storyteller by Brandon Hobson. From National Book Award finalist Brandon Hobson, a kaleidoscopic middle-grade adventure that mixes the anxieties, friendships, and wonders of a Cherokee's boy life with the Cherokee history and lore. Ziggy has anxiety. Partly this is because of the way his mind works and how overwhelmed he can get when other people, especially his classmate Alice, are in the room. And partly it's because his mother disappeared when he was very young, making her one of the many Native women who've gone mysteriously missing. Ziggy and his sister Moon want answers, but nobody around can give them. Once Ziggy gets it in his head that the clues to his mother's disappearance may be found in a nearby cave, there's no stopping him from going there. Along with Moon, Alice, and his best friend Corso, he sets out on a mind-bending adventure where he'll discover his story tied to all the stories of the Cherokees that have come before him. Ziggy might not have any control over the past, but if he learns the lessons of the storytellers, he might be able to better shape his future and find the friends he needs. This story is realistic fiction and adventure for ages 8 through 12, and it will be available from Scholastic on April 18th, 2023. Home Away from Home by Cynthia Lord. Mia and her mom visit Grandma in Maine every summer, but this year Mia is going alone. Her mom will stay behind to get their house ready to sell it. It'll be a new start, she says, after the divorce. Mia doesn't want a new start. She'd rather have everything just stayed the same. At least things will be the same at Grandma's, though. Mia will walk to town for ice cream and wait by the water watching for birds, just like always. Then Mia meets Grandma's know-it-all neighbor, who's just her age. Cayman acts like he belongs at Grandma's house. He acts like he's the expert on everything. And when he and Mia spot an unusual white bird of prey, he acts like it's his job to find out what it is. Unless, that is, Mia finds out first. And in her effort to prove herself to him, she makes a decision that will change things for the town, for the bird, for Cayman, and even for herself. Can Mia stop what she's put into motion? Acclaimed author Cynthia Lord, with her trademark sensitivity, weaves her love of nature with a profound reflection on what it means to be at home in a changing world. This book is realistic fiction for ages 8 through 12 and will be coming out on April 18th, 2023. Squished by Megan Wagner Lloyd and Michelle Mee Nutter. 11-year-old Avery Lee loves living in Hickory Valley, Maryland. She loves her neighborhood, school, and the end of summer fair she always goes to with her 2 best friends. But she's tired of feeling squished by her 6 siblings. They're noisy and chaotic, and the younger kids love her a little too much. All Avery wants is her own room, her own space to be alone and make art. So she's furious when Theo, her grumpy older brother, gets his own room instead, and her 2 wild baby brother, Max, moves into the room she already shares with her clinging sister Pearl. Avery hatches a plan to finally get her own room, all while trying to get Max to sleep at night, navigating changes with her friendships, and working on an art entry for the fair. And when Avery finally finds out that her family might move across the country, things get even more complicated. Megan Werner Lloyd and Michelle Mee Nutter have once again teamed up to tell a funny, heartfelt, and charming story of family, friendship, and growing up. This realistic fiction graphic novel is great for ages 8 through 12 and is now available. Good Different by Meg Eden Kuyat. Selah knows her rules for being normal. She always sticks to them. This means keeping her feelings locked tightly inside despite the way they build up inside her as each school day goes on, so that she has to run to the bathroom and hide in the stall until she can calm down, so that she has to tear off her normal person mask the second she gets home from school and listen to her favorite pop song on repeat, trying to recharge. Selah feels like a dragon stuck in a world of humans, but she knows how to hide it, until the day she explodes and hits a fellow student. Selah's friends pull away from her, her school threatens expulsion, and her comfortable, familiar world starts to crumble. But as Selah starts to figure out more about who she is, she comes to understand that different doesn't mean damaged. Can she get her school to understand that too before it's too late? This is a moving and unputdownable story about learning to celebrate the things that make us different, Good Different is a perfect next read for fans of Counting Sevens or anything by Jasmine Warga. It's a realistic fiction novel in verse for ages 8 through 12, and it's now available. The 39 Clues, The Maze of Bones, Book 1, a graphic novel by Ethan Young based on the best-selling book by Rick Riordan. Minutes before she died, Grace Cahill changed her will, leaving her descendants an impossible decision. You have a choice, $1 million or a clue. Grace is the last matriarch of the Cahills, the world's most powerful family. Everyone from Marie Curie to Harry Houdini is related to the Cahills, yet the source of the family's power is lost. 39 clues hidden around the world will reveal the family's secret, but no one has been able to assemble them. Now the clue race is on, and young Amy and Dan must decide what's important, hunting clues or uncovering what really happened to their parents. This book is the first in a series of graphic novels for readers aged 8 to 12 and will be available soon. Parachute Kids by Betty C. Tang. The dream trip to America turns into a nightmare. Feng Li can't wait to discover America with her family. But after an action-packed vacation, her parents deliver shocking news. They are returning to Taiwan and leaving Feng Li and her older siblings in California. On their own. Suddenly, the three kids must fend for themselves in a strange new world and get along. Starting a new school, learning a new language, and trying to make new friends while managing a household is hard enough. But Bro and Sis's constant bickering makes everything worse. Thankfully, there are some hilarious moments to balance the stress and loneliness. But as tensions escalate and all three kids get tangled up in a web of bad choices, can Feng Li keep her family together? This realistic fiction graphic novel is great for ages 9 through 10 and will be available on April 4th, 2023. Race Against Death by Deborah Hopkinson. Following the bombing of Pearl Harbor, America entered World War II, and a new theater of battle opened up in the Pacific. But U.S. troops, along with thousands of Filipino soldiers who fought alongside them, were overtaken in the Philippines by a fiercely determined Japanese Navy, and many Americans and Filipino fighters were killed or captured. These American and Filipino prisoners of war were forced to endure the most horrific conditions on the deadly trek known as the Bataan Death March. Then the American servicemen who were held captive by the Japanese military in Cabanatuan Camp and others in the Philippines faced beatings, starvation, and tropical diseases. They lived constantly under the threat of death. Unable to forget their comrades' fate and concerned that these POWs would be brutally murdered as the tides of the war shifted in the Pacific, the U.S. Army Rangers undertook one of the most daring and dangerous rescue missions of all time. Aided by the Angels of the Underground, the 6th Ranger Battalion and courageous Filipino guerrilla soldiers set out on an uncertain and treacherous assignment. Often called the Great Raid, this remarkable story remains largely forgotten. Seabird Honor author Deborah Hopkinson presents an extraordinary and unflinching look at the heroic servicemen and women who courageously weathered the worst of the circumstances and conditions in the service to their country, as well as those who answered the call to save their fellow soldiers. This book is nonfiction, adventurous, and for ages 9 through 12, and is available now. Alrighty, last but not least, young adult titles. Rosewood, a Midsummer Meet-Cute by Sayantani Dasgupta. Isla Das is used to following her head rather than her heart. When she meets Rahul at Rosewood, a summer camp where campers are being scouted for the hit Bridgerton-like TV show, she experiences feelings. Between the drama of the show and the drama of camp, Isla will have to keep her wits about her to make it through the summer. But when she has to choose between her head and her heart, what will she do? This young adult romance is great for ages 12 through 18 and is now available. Sunshine by Jarrett J. Krosoka. When Jarrett J. Krosoka was in high school, he was part of a program that sent students to be counselors at a camp for seriously ill kids and their families. Going into it, Jarrett was worried. Wouldn't it be depressing to be around kids facing such serious struggle? Wouldn't it be grim? But instead of the shadow of death, Jared found something else at Camp Sunshine, the hope and determination that some people get through the most troubled times. Not only was he subject to some of the usual rituals that come with being a camp counselor, wilderness challenges, spooky campfire stories, an extremely stinky mascot costume, but he also got a chance to meet some extraordinary kids facing extraordinary circumstances. He learned about the captivity of illness for sure, but he also learned about the freedom a safe space can bring. Now in his follow-up to the National Book Award finalist, Hey Kiddo, Jarrett brings readers back to Camp Sunshine so we can meet the campers and fellow counselors who changed the course of his life. This book is a graphic novel memoir for readers ages 12 to 18 and will be available on April 18th, 2023. I Kick and I Fly by Ruchira Gupta. On the outskirts of the red light district in Bihar, India, 14-year-old Hira is living on borrowed time until her father sells her into the sex trade to help feed their family and repay his loans. It is, as she's been told, the fate of the women in her community to end up here. But watching her cousin Mira D live this life day in and day out is hard enough. To live it feels like the worst fate imaginable. And after a run-in with a bully leads her to expulsion from school, it feels closer than ever. When a local hostel owner shows up at Hira's home with the money to repay her family's debt, Hira begins to learn that fate can change, destiny can be disrupted, heroics can be contagious. It's at the local hostel for at-risk girls that Hira is given a transformative opportunity, learning kung fu with the other girls. Through the practice of martial arts, she starts to understand that her body isn't an object to be commodified and preyed upon, but a vessel through which she can protect herself and those around her. And when Hira discovers the whereabouts of her missing friend Rosie through a kung fu pen pal in the U.S., she makes the decision to embark on a daring rescue mission to New York in an attempt to save her. A triumphant, shocking story inspired by Ruchira Gupta's experience making the Emmy Award-winning documentary, The Selling of Innocence. This is an unforgettable story of overcoming adversity by a lifelong activist who has dedicated her life to creating a world where no child is bought or sold. This book is realistic fiction for ages 12 through 18 and will be available on April 18th, 2023. And finally, last but not least, Change the Game by Colin Kaepernick. High school star athlete Colin Kaepernick is at a crossroads in life. Heavily scouted by colleges and MLB as a baseball pitcher, he has a bright future ahead of him and is a highly touted prospect. Everyone from his parents to his teachers and coaches are in agreement on his future. Colin feels differently. Colin isn't excited about baseball. In the words of five-time All-Star MLB player Adam Jones, baseball is a white man's game. Colin looks up to athletes like Allen Iverson, talented, hyper-competitive, unapologetically black, and dominating their sports while staying true to themselves. College football looks like a lot more fun than sleeping on hotel room floors in the minor leagues of baseball. But Colin doesn't have a single offer to play football. Yet. This touching graphic novel explores the story of how a young changemaker learned to find himself and never compromise, how the right decision is very rarely the easy one, but taking the road less traveled can make all the difference in the world. This book is an autobiography graphic novel for ages 12 to 18 and is now available. Thanks so much for joining me for the unboxing of my surprise delivery. Thanks also for visiting my channel. Please subscribe and like this video, and then check out these other great places where I have content for you online. I'll see you again next time, and happy reading!